everyone, I'm Allie, and join me as I show you how to do this fun Times Square bracelet. We're going back to 2 needles, and we're going to have some fun with Potomac exclusives. Remember, if you need any supplies, you can look below the video. In the video description, hit that button that says show more, and that'll get you links back to our website. This is also one of our January kit box projects. So if you want to check out how you can subscribe, you can also do that link there. Each month we do 3 projects that are in your subscription, and you get everything you need to create. Gather up your supplies and let's get started. So to get started with our Times Square bracelet, we are doing 2 needles. It's been a while since we've done a 2 needle project, but it's nice because you get the clasp on here right away. And this bracelet has gone through a number of different integrations, getting it to come to where I want with the RounDuos. And you can see here, you can use other beads in the middle too, just to give a little heads up. So the Times Square bracelet here is going to start with 2 needles, and I'm using black dragon thread. I'm going to pick up one of my black 11-0 seed beads, and I'm mixing Toho and Miyuki. It's okay to do that. I'm mixing an 11-0 Toho with an 8-0 Miyuki, and I'm going to go through my cut button, so that way I have 1 needle that I have going through each side that is connected to about 5 feet of thread. I'm going to pull the needles equally, so I make sure that I have equal amounts of thread left on both sides. Coming out of the needle here, or out of the button here, I'm going to separate out my threads, and we're going to add 1 of my 11-0s, 1 8-0, and 1 11-0 on both the left and the right needle. If you struggle with the ambidextrous thing, the more you do it, the easier you get with picking up things with the needles, but you can also just kind of work one side at a time as you're working on it. I'm going to let those drop down next to my button, and we're going to begin with our StormDuo beads. Now the StormDuo beads, we're going to have them kind of kissing on one side and open on the other side. They do have a direction that we're going to need to pick them up. So when you're picking up your StormDuo beads here for the first one, what we are going to do, number 1, is add 1 more of our 11-0 seed beads. We're going to add our StormDuos. And when we add our StormDuos, we're going to go through the side with the curvature. And I'm going to go to the opposite one and go through the side, the bump without the curvature. So when they're there, they should be kind of sitting open like that. I'm going to take that needle that's on the right that has the 11 and the StormDuos all the way over through those. The needle that's on the left, I'm going to go through the StormDuos. I have an 11 on that side too. I'm going to go through the StormDuos, and I'm also going to go through the 11 on the opposite side. We'll come back and do that with the needle on the opposite side too. I'm pulling my threads equally down towards the base here. And you can see this one's coming out through the 11. I need to take my needle now that's on the left and also go through the 11 that's on the left. It wasn't there before, so that's why we're doing it. Nice tight pull. And this gets us set up for our first little V. So see how that sits open? That's what we want on that open end. Coming out that first hole then of our beads and going through the 11-0, I want you to pick up 1 8-0, 1 more 11-0, and so both on the right and the left through to the top of the StormDuo bead. On the right, you can see I put my needle down, and I'm doing the same thing with my right hand on the left side in towards the interior. This is going to happen the whole way through the bracelet. From here, we're going to go into our middle. Our needles stay separated right and left, and we're going to add 1 11-0, 1 8-0, 1 11-0, 1 8-0, and we are going through our RounDuo through one side and, through the other side. And let that drop down to the center of your bracelet. See, that RounDuo is just going to kind of hang out in the middle there. Now, we're going to have some fun here, and we're going to decorate the sides. So you're going to pick up 1, 2, and 3 of your 11-0s with your right needle, and you're going to go back up through the right-hand side of the RounDuo. Now you can switch this out to a round trio. You can switch it out to kind of whatever you want. You can switch it out to a disco ball crystal. 1, 2, and 3 11-0s. And on the left side, same thing here, up again through that left-hand bead and out. Now on top of the RounDuos, we're going to do a mirror image. So we are going to add an 11-0, and we are going to add, sorry, an 8-0 and then an 11-0. See how we're going into kind of that swooping or that open side of the StormDuo? I'm going to grab one of those on the right needle, letting that kind of fall down so that it opens up. And here on the exterior, I'm going to grab 111, 18, 111, and sew through that StormDuo just to kind of lock it in place. There we go. Other side, same thing. So we're going to do our 8-0 seed bead, followed by our 11-0, followed by the open side of the StormDuo, followed by an 11, an 8, and an 11 to decorate the side of the StormDuo. Once we do that, we're going back through the StormDuo through that open hole there to lock that in place, nice tight pull. And now you'll notice those needles are right there where they're touching. So the needle that's on the right-hand side, I'm going to take over towards the left-hand side through the StormDuo and through the 11-0. The bead that's on, needle that's on the left over to the right through the StormDuo and through the 11-0. Nice tight pull. And then look, oh, I got an extra bead in there. I need to crack that one off there. Is completed. It's the exact same front and back. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go back in from here, and we are going to add another one of our RounDuo beads and then start the process over. Moving on then, I already have on the right-hand side coming out those 11-0s, an 8-0, an 11-0, and my Kissing StormDuo beads. On the needle that's on the left, I put on an 8-0 and an 11-0. And I'm going to go back through the StormDuo bead as well as the 11-0 on the right side and pull nice and tight. Just like we did at the start, that needle that's now on the left needs to go through the 11-0 that is now there that we just added and out. And that is it. Now we are on repeat. So here at the top, we're going to do an 8-0 followed by an 11 into the center of the StormDuo. Coming through the center of the StormDuo here, you're going to add an 11, an 8. So you'll notice that I do, while I have this on my needle, I do a bunch with the right-hand needle. So I added the 11, the 8, the RounDuo. I'm going to lock the RounDuo in place with 1, 2, 3 11s. Go up through the RounDuo. After the RounDuo, while I have this right needle in my hand, I'm going to add another 8, another 11, and I'm going to go into my StormDuo from the swooping side, just like here. You can kind of watch that mirror image. Once that swooping side is on, 11, 8, 11, into the StormDuo, that's after. Put that left needle down, or the right needle down rather, and now do the same thing on the left. So on the left here, we're going to add an 8, an 11, go through the top hole of the StormDuo on the exterior. Once we're there and coming out there, 11 and an 8, up through the RounDuo, through the second side there. 3 beads get added, 1, 2, 3, looping around through the RounDuo, 1, 2, 3 there. Pull nice and tight. 8-0 seed bead, 11-0 seed bead, through the skinny side or the curve, and then out the thick side of the StormDuo. Once you're there, lock it in place with your 11, 8, that is off to the side, 11, oops, and through the StormDuo. Then again, when we're here at the StormDuo, it's like, hey, yeah, they're there, they're ready, they're kissing. So those kissing StormDuos, I'm going to take my needle that's currently in my hand on the right, go through the StormDuo that's on the right-hand side in the 11-0, and then the one that was on this side is coming to the left through the StormDuo and the 11-0. And that's it. Whole rest of the bracelet is designed the exact same way with that ball dropping in the middle of that cluster of the Times Square. Once you have fun creating the rest of the bracelet here, it is time to do your clasp. So for the clasp, we're just going to do a nice simple loop that goes around the button. Now, when I do my loops, I don't like to have the big opening here, and see how that kind of stretches really, really wide. I like to have it into a V. So unlike the start where we go right from the StormDuos into the clasp, we're going to go in and close this off basically. So I want you to do 1 and 2 11s followed by one of your 8 seed beads. Same thing on the other side, except when we do 1 and 2 11s here, we're going to share the 8 seed bead and come through it going the same direction. So see how that just puts us in a point? That makes a much secure end for your bracelet. Now we have 2 strands here coming through. I'm just going to let the one hang out and sit. And with the rest, I'm going to use it as an opportunity to kind of clean up my bead mat. Gathering all my 11 seed beads here. So that way I can do my button clasp. And depending on the brand of seed beads you use, again, Miyuki or Toho work, or Azuki for any of this. You just want to make sure that your loop is big enough that your button can go through, but not too big that your button's going to slip out. So here on mine, I have 5, 10, 15, 20, about 22 beads. I'm going to check that loop. So you just kind of eyeball it and you say, is that loop good? And it's a little bit small. So I've cleaned up my mat. What I'm going to do is just dump out a couple more, usually about 26 to 28, depending on your brand is good. So we're going to pick up 4 more. And then we're going to do a little check and say, is this going to work with the button? That looks great to go around my button. I have this through 1 strand of beads, and I'm going to go through my 8 seed bead again. Now this is the awesome thing when it comes to working with 2 needles. The second needle right here is ready already to go through the beads in the opposite direction, kind of crisscrossing through all of them. And then when we get to the bottom, you already have 2 strands through your clasp. And all we have to do is tie a knot to get rid of our thread ends. No kind of sewing back through things, anything like that. When you are sewing back through your beads here, you want to make sure not to miss any, because if you miss any, that one that you miss is going to stick out like a sore thumb. Going in here then, coming back down through that same 8-0. And we're going to do a nice tight pull to tighten up any threads. I pull one, then I pull the other. And then right here you can tie your thread ends, or if you want to, you can take them down. I'm going to go this needle through to the right. Go through my StormDuo, my 11-0, through to hang out right there. And then I'm going to bring my other needle to the same spot and just tie my thread ends off right there next to the bead. So that way I have the knot kind of hidden. The nice thing, because we're using black thread, you can use green for this too, is that you're really not going to see the knot. Lots of knots there. Really, really not going to see the knot. Okay, so these 2 strands now are hanging out right here at the same spot. I'm just going to tie them off to finish up my bracelet, and my Times Square bracelet, where all eyes are in the middle of that ball there, kind of going almost like an intersection, is completed. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining me in this Times Square bracelet. Remember, if you do want to check out the Best Bead Box Kit subscription, you can look below the video. In the video description, hit that Show More button, and it'll get you links back to our site. If you haven't yet already, make sure to comment and let me know if you like 2 needles or if you really want me to avoid it in the future. I like to get that feedback from our community members so we can give you what you want. As always, if you haven't yet, hit that little subscribe button so you don't miss anything from us here at Potomac Beads. Thanks so much for watching. Enjoy your Times Square bracelet and stay tuned for more inspirational designs.